Oh, maybe I am now. Am I on YouTube now? This is the first thing I've done. Yeah, here it is. Okay. Project history. Crusader King 3 or Canute's Day. I like this song. I've slightly curated what songs play up because though some mod adds loads of these songs, maybe I haven't curated in this version. Just play. Well, I like this one. Right, anyway, so in St. Canute's story, he is the son of Sven, or Swain as he's known in English. And he spent most of his time in England. He had his capital in Winchester, so I'll have to take this place, and it's a very good capital. And, 5 slots, 2 of which are castles, and they can build another castle. So he takes England. While he's in England, his brother dies, and the lords of Denmark inherit him, or elect him as king. That seems like he's childless. I forget if he was in real life. But even if he was, they'd be too young to do. So then Canute becomes king of England and Denmark, and then he presses an ancient claim he has on Norway, so this establishes the North Sea Empire, and that is something we're allowed to do there, and then we become the Great, and he's of course Saint Canute the Great. And I call him the Saint because quite a few sources did over the years, but he didn't have a formal canonization, so some people were like, oh, you definitely shouldn't call him Saint Canute. I'm not of that mindset necessarily. I think sainthood by public proclamation and things, I think that's acceptable. Not always necessary. Try to decide these things themselves. For example, 50-50 on Joan of Arc. I get that she's canonized because of the witness she had in jail rather than her military actions. It's definitely a controversial choice. So I'm not too sure about the, people often like, oh, if you don't have this kind of congregation thing deciding the saints, then, you'll get, anyone will become a saint. I don't think that's true. And conversely, it hasn't prevented the canonization of saints. It shouldn't be. So anyway, that's all way of saying, I think King Saint Canute, not this version of it, but in general, he ought to be considered a saint. Sorry, I keep going off the side, it's because I don't want to stop on the street. They will stop at some point. Yeah, so he's head of the Canute Wings. Let's just reverse it. Salvation. Let's have we trust. This is a motto for our empire. He'd be more specific, because there were other gods in these regions. So, interesting fact about him. He had a Polish mum, and they don't show this here, but it's otherwise known. That is, Sigrid. So she's often actually his wife. 2 have been a wen, so a Slav from one of these regions. So Canute was majority, by some people, majority Slavic, which is quite interesting. But I reckon, given how much time spent in England, it's probably Norse culturally. But here they just have a which I'm happy with, because one tactic you can go with the Highlanders is you pick a big county like Winchester, a good county. It also has a duchy building, which is good. I've got a mod that allows you to keep expanding holds. I like it. Yeah, and you just have one culture because here's a little gimmick. As you've seen, is that King St. Olaf? It is. King St. Olaf. He's zealous, diligent. They've had him as Saint. Anyway, yes, cultures research tech quicker if their development is high. So what you can do is make sure your culture only has one county and put your Mysacularius in this case. They have very Greek names. Anyway, I put this person to increase development in the only county in which my culture will be. So I will spread north Hampshire, and then I will rename it to Winnish or Canuteling. Yeah, that'll be the Canuteling culture. And they'll just research super quick. So often I've got that mad advantage over all my rivals, because I'll have all the man-at-arms size and man-at-arms points, not only to defeat them in every way, in every opportunity. So yeah, that's what I'll do. But anyway, so we're starting this story. The nobles of England promised Sweyn that they would support his son Canute to become the King of England, but they betrayed him upon his death and made Canute have to flee to Denmark, where his brother Harold had taken over. But he says, it's alright, I've taken over because I'll support you to help you take the kingdom back. And it appears we're being helped by Edric Alfricsson. So we weren't totally left alone. We have some loyalists, but there's some people who instead have very much decided to help Athelred the Unready, whose son Edmund Ironside receives that name because he dies actually in this war. But maybe he won't in ours. But he's considered less goodly. These are all random, these traits. So, oh dear, poor Athelred. He's been given a very bad representation, poor guy. Not as bad as Saint Canute though. Greedy. Right, so one of the reasons I like Canute though, he sponsored a lot of missionary activity. So they show this. I've got a mod which changes the timeline. This part of the world has many Christian rulers, but they're not in Finland, but in Sweden. You've got my half-brother, supposedly. Yeah, Sigrid. It's not registering as my half-brother. The Pope won't let me. It's a bit odd. Sigrid Tostrigsson. But they had my mother as Sigrid. No, a Sweltwer. And then Sigrid as... there we go. I see. They've divided up. So there's a lot of debate about whether Sigrid is that thing. And therefore, right, yeah, I see. So there's debate about whether or not this Olaf is my brother. So they've made him not my brother, so I can't get an alliance with him, which is a shame. Even though in reality, Olaf did support Canute. So there was a connection, as I say, historically believed to be brotherly. But then not King Saint Olaf of Norway. Though this guy also, he's also been referred to as a saint. I've seen that popularly, but not by, you know, formal canonization, whereas Olaf, King Saint Olaf, was formally canonized. He's involved in the colonization of Greenland. I think that, isn't that a bit early? Oh, Google. When was Leif Erikson? It does seem a bit early. No, I suppose it was around that time. He died 1018, yeah. Okay. Yeah, the colonization of the New World is already... Wow, the first settlement is 986. I don't know why I thought it was later. Goodness me. It was quite early. Alright, so that is going on. We'll have to be a part of that. Because the stuff you can get, like setting up the European Ivory Carving Centre, which we will, of course, want to be Winchester. And that will give us bonuses to... Oh, there's Stonehenge. I've never seen Stonehenge there before. Lovely. But yes, we want Winchester to get all the development bonuses it can, so that we can tech up quicker than everyone else, so that we can dominate the North Sea Empire region. I thought there were more troops there, so I'll keep these guys together. That's not good. Ah, yes, I've re-allied with the Slavs, because in reality, this invasion of mine, my invasion of England, Canute's invasion of England, in reality featured lots of Slavic allies. An ominous reputation is good for the natural dread. That does help me secure my empire. So there's Viking specialized things which are good, but I'll be ominous. It protects you. Harold, my brother Harold of Denmark, Harold Gorm. So again, this guy Harold Gorm supported Canute in reality. King Saint Olaf of Sweden, not to be confused with King Saint Olaf of Norway, who ruled at the same time. King Saint Olaf of Sweden supported me, and so did the Poles. But in this timeline, only the Poles are helping me. So make of that what you will. But I just thought it was worth getting into the actual history of, you know, all the allies, and you know, I think that partly does Athelred the Unready a bit better. You know, in history, that he will be remembered as someone who actually had a quite tough gig of being invaded by several countries, and I thought the Normans were allies. Still, yeah, had a lot of enemies to put up against, and Edmund Ensign has gone down as a hero for trying to resist this invasion. So, and that makes sense of it, I think, when if you just put it on a map and thought like, all right, all of these guys are attacking this guy. It wasn't totally a fair fight. So, you know, not to say that King St. Canute wasn't impressive in his own way, but you know, there's those difficulties, and they're real difficulties. There we go. We're taking Winchester now. Let's hope our ally doesn't. So that is. Oh, I forgot about that. Jesus. Oh, that's good to know. Yeah, I mean, you don't want your wife cheating on you for obvious reasons. One of the key ones is that you'll have an illegitimate claimant to the throne, possibly. Depends on how it goes. Alright, so we've got to liberate our friend, because, yeah, look at that. It's affecting our score. So if we go there, we can get our supply back. We need supply or else we start dying. Let's go for piety. We've got to win this guy down. Oh, I escaped. Ah, we've got it. Yeah, alright, so we've got to liberate our... Oh. Gosh. So that's a bit annoying having an ally... Ah! More Polish allies, okay. So we're making it a bit more historical the hard way. Yeah, we can ransom off prisoners for money. That's always good. And we don't necessarily want people languishing around in prison, you know, if they're just serving their country. Finally had a daughter. It's a Harold. That is Harold Harefoot. He's a historical character. Let's make sure we get this name right then. So his children were... Oh, his Canute's real life eldest son was not Harold but Sven. But anyway, Gunhilda was the name of his daughter. So let's go for Gunhilda. And we get an alliance. Not a good one. Yeah. Oh, that's a bit of a shame. Once we're the Emperor of the North Sea, then... oh! I've been made Emperor. Got Excalibur. They've got a funny description, but I'll put up all the decoration and then I'll... There is an area ruler in Britain who doesn't claim to have the true Excalibur. Wars are paid for by selling Excaliburs, and you must hope your guest doesn't catch another displaying the sword. It's quite funny. Right, so I've become the North Sea Emperor. So that's good. Upon succession, it will be destroyed. Is there an unless? A centralized administration helps, but you need a lot of money. So do they not let you consolidate the empire? But we've got a dynasty. Upgrade. Popular opinion's always good. Prowess. Maybe we do a Viking one. I mean, more diplomatic range helps. Trade events are always good. Can befriend vessels. Getting us money. It's alright, but prowess. And then that means we can always access these later, if that's what we want. Though I know the contents of those seem somewhat evil. But, you know, it's nice to have options. Again, we want dread, so people are scared of us. You know, that's the thing with things like these. Intimidating the nobility makes you a villain, according to posterity. But, oh, he's very nearly gonna... Oh, I've got a lot of money. Because I'm greedy in this version of history. I don't like sending gifts, apparently. But, there we go, let's... Oh! He's yeah, I told you the terror would help. The fact he's terrified of me helps. So, alright, you can look after Gunhilda. Still he's not got the worst stats. That will improve our relations. So I could turn Gnostic or just have power on 3. I'll power on 2. But I can just call them to war using renown. Yeah, alright, Harold. Because as I say, in real life he did promise to help. And then Sweden, alright, so we are getting historical. That's nice. There we go. We're not doing that. Yeah, I shouldn't be clicking that. Sorry, I mean, I've seen these events so much, I just instinctively click through, but I should read these more, shouldn't I? That update was just basically an, oh yeah, we're going to help you out. Because I kind of don't have a choice, I think. There we go, another... You know, I keep suspecting... I'm paranoid, aren't I? So I've got to be looking into this, of course. Oh! Didn't see that. Alright, this should speed things up. There we go, alright. So there's a lot of history in the mod, I like that. They have actually enabled you to run things more or less historically. That's good. Right, so yeah, we're just sieging things down then. He keeps wanting peace, poor guy. Is it the saintly thing to do to just kind of let it happen? Just let peace, give peace a chance. Kind of. But Canute had a mission to root out evils such as slavery, which he had to do as king. And in his defence, in this particular war, the nobles were treasonous and they'd promised to help, and they'd failed to help. So, you know, alright, here we go. Mayor Frothy was visiting a town in my realm on official business when there was an assassination attempt on him. He had gone to meet with the town's notables, and in the midst of the conversation, a young man present, a lesser noble who lived nearby, drew a dagger and stabbed Frothy several times before being subdued and restrained by several of the others present. Miraculously, Frothy did not suffer any serious injury, and even laughed at the attacker. He told the guard to take the man away before saying, "It takes more than that to kill me," to the amazed onlookers, and continuing the discussion. After hearing about this and having it confirmed by several eyewitnesses, I can't help but greatly respect Frothy for surviving this. That said, though the assailant claims to have acted alone, they've been sent by someone else. So praising him is kind of the right thing to do. But it will give me a mental breakdown because they just have me as that evil. A few of my officials living in Somerset who have academic inclinations reported to me of a small flat area in that region that would be a good place to construct a small observatory. The building they propose would not be a grandiose structure by any means, but the location is ideal for gazing at the stars at night. A number of local scholars skilled in the science of astronomy would be grateful if we could spare the funds to assist them in their work. See, it does help development. I'm going to have a breakdown and let's see. I can become irritable. I think irritable's alright, given our other traits. Callous and everything. Yeah, there's got to be some... What's the effect that causes its dissolution? Does it need a de jure thing? So if I choose St. Philip, I'll live longer. Which, if we've got to secure the Empire, I've got to do. Alright, I've just got to hope there's some event that gives me the chance to secure it. Because what we want out of this playthrough is to allow King Saint Canute's legacy to live longer than it did in real life. Yeah, to have the North Sea Empire survive, I think. Alright, a few weeks ago, 10 children went missing from one of the towns in Somerset. Locals sent out search parties but could not find any signs of the children. Many feared some calamity befell the children, like being killed by wild animals. Thankfully, Hereward of Northampton, one of my minor officials working in Somerset, continued searching even after everyone else gave up. His persistence paid off, as he managed to track down the children. Apparently the children were kidnapped by a band of bandits who planned to sell them into slavery. The bandits have all been imprisoned, and the 10 children returned to their families. Everyone is praising Hereward for his heroic actions. Continue good work. We have him promoted. Can't grant him Somerset because then that'll be the end. But yeah, we'll let him. We'll give him a promotion. He deserves it. What a hero. Alright, let's start sieging down. So we one of the biggest hits to our points are all of our besieged allies' lands, because I think they're part of England. Oh, we've won. There we go. Oh, and I get London, and I become very famous. There we go. Ah, so, oh, I gain legitimacy if I let him go. Legitimacy is good. Already quite legitimate, but if I become even better, then people will want to join my wonderful North Sea Empire. So look, you can invite people just to join, but few want to at the moment. So yeah, if I just release him, he'll like. It's annoying not being able to gift, even for greater money, to just be that irrationally selfish. Which, as I say, is just not King St. Canute at all. He spent so much money in defense of the realm and the church. So he sponsored missionaries that went to Sweden and then Finland. So he got all these English bishops because he was King of England and he loved England. And he kind of may have been culturally English, as I say. Maybe Anglo-Nordic is the best description of him in some ways. So he first of all set about uniting the English church and keeping it all regulated properly, no slavery, things like that. And then, once all of that was sorted, he got these bishops to go to Finn and Sealand and Scania, because the German bishops had only evangelized Jutland, apparently, and only set up bishops really in Jutland, but he wanted everywhere to have local bishops, local churches, local priests, so they could all attend communion, get the sacraments and everything properly. So then he sent these English bishops there, and then shortly after we see like St. Wilfrid go to Uppsala. There's Uppsala. Actually, Tryggvi the Hunchback as the bishop. He's, as far as I know, not a historical character. You instead had St. Wulfric, who, he went to Uppsala and was crucial in converting people here. And then, shortly after, you have, of course, Henry the English, who becomes the Bishop of Finland here, and starting in the southwest. And so King St. Canute was central to all this. So he was very generous. He supplied missionaries with everything they needed to go even outside his realm. So it wasn't, people often like, was he just kind of acting holy so that he would consolidate power? But the problem with that is he had no other sort of power in Finland, and the church didn't work to help him invade Finland or anything like that. So that would have been a crazy thing to do, or going to Uppsala and all of this. So our brother Olaf is dead, sadly, isn't he? No, he's been deposed. I wonder what happened. If only we could have invited him there, and then we'd help Sweden to join our wonderful empire. There's no one willing to join. Sigrid. My courtier Sigrid, though. Can I press her claim? Can we... I can. Oh, Gunhilda. Sigrid or Gunhilda. So, Sigrid is ambitious, brave, but arrogant. Gunhilda is... deceitful, paranoid, and chaste. I guess Sigrid's better. Alright, let's do that. In real life, of course, as I say, he didn't take Sweden. He took Denmark and Norway. But we're trying to consolidate our North Sea Empire. So we got to do what we got to do, even though they helped us. I know that's bad. But we won't kill his armies, because, yeah, as I say, that would be bad. What we'll do instead... Oh, London, though. It's a metropolis. It's got, like, lots of bonuses about it. The Tower of London. Wow, I didn't think about that. There might be reasons to having London rather than Manchester. Oh, they're coming for us. We've got to get them. Nah, they're just running away. That's good. Yeah, I mean, basically, I reckon if we just besiege Uppsala, you know, that will sort it. So it shouldn't be too violent a war. Let's see it done. Yeah, he's coming. He knows what my plan is. Yeah, anyway, so hopefully I can consolidate power a bit more and allow Canute to have a longer lasting legacy. One quite interesting thing, because he loved England so much, he kind of left his successors to love England. So Estrid Gorm, as she's called there. So she married this guy, who then had a son, who then had a son. Their son was called Sweyn, and then Sweyn had a son called Canute after this guy, and then so that Canute, King Saint Canute IV, he tried to liberate England from the Norman yoke. So, you know, England was always in the heart of the Canutelings. So, you know, just goes to show. You know, there was a desire to keep the kind of legacy going. I drank some water and choked on it. Thankfully, a servant saved me, but my court witnessed the entire embarrassing situation. Hey, we arrested him. That ends the war quicker. There we go. There. So now Sigrid, Sweyn's daughter, is queen in my brother's son's stead. So that was not obviously a very Christian thing to do. The real Canute never would have done it. But, oh, the head of St. Edmund. So here's an interesting thing about Canute. There's loads of people that were made saints and everything at the time, were canonized, that you might expect him not to have liked, not to have allowed people to have liked either. I'll deal with this in a second. Like King St. Edmund, the martyr, because the Nords, his own ancestors, killed King St. Edmund the martyr, but instead Canute was like, no, he really was a great guy, and you know, spreads news about him and stories about him, and he gets all kind of into it. And the same with that King St. Olaf of Norway, who had been king before Canute had, and so you'd think he'd be like, well, you know, I had to depose this psycho. But actually, after Olaf died, and everyone was like, oh, he's a saint. And Canute's like, yeah, he was a saint, and he promotes, you know, his canonization and everything. So quite odd. And then that kind of just idea of like, yeah, these guys are saints. I'm not going to deny it just for politics and things and all of this. That kind of characterized a lot of his reign. So that's just an interesting thing about Canute. He he didn't manipulate the church in those ways to canonize or to make some decisions or another to his own benefit. He allowed the church to do things that would apparently undermine him, and the ultimate result of that was that, in fact, none of that would undermine him. That people were like, oh yeah, that Canute guy, he loves Olaf and Edmund and all of this, and I think in some sense he really did. You know, the kind of saints, the communion of saints kind of does that. So yeah, that's an interesting thing. So he's got Edmund's relics there, and he brought loads of relics of English saints over to Denmark and Norway and so on as part of this kind of Christianization campaign. So again, like a very generous thing to do, given that his kingdom basically was in England for all intents and purposes. But he gave away all the stuff to help churches get started. A very generous thing to do. So he shouldn't have the greedy trait, but it is what it is. Right, so Arnfast, a guest, but he's quite skillful as a steward. I'm not allowed to be generous to him, but we could bring him in. Emma of Normandy, she was Canute's real wife. And that's how they have Sweyn and Harold, as an illegitimate relationship. So that's a bit of a shame. Anyway, so we can get this guy, who's quite skillful, to join by marrying him off to a courtier, but this psycho version of Canute will not allow it to happen with any gifts being shared. It's crazy. Right, so anyway, this wanderer says, how many times have I told you to stay away from the newly planted narcissuses, or narcissi? Is that my gardener, Arnfast? No, he's a wanderer. I hear bellowing. I turn to see him carrying my son Harold by the scruff of his neck down the hall towards me. The child flails wildly, covered in petals and dirt, unable to reach Arnfast's arm. Put me down, I'll tell the Emperor on you. That's me. I'm watching it all here from here. My gardener dumps his cargo in a heap at my feet. The darned boy has trampled all my hard work, my lord. It took weeks to undo the damage. It will take weeks to undo the damage. Harold wipes the tears from his eyes and meekly sobs, I didn't do anything. I was only playing. Yes, that's the only thing I can say without having such a bad mental breakdown I'll die. So I'm stuck having to say that. So if we make our court a bit better, people might be more inclined. Oh, we can have bigger regiments. That's quite good. But people also might be more inclined to peacefully elect to join our empire, which is nice, a nice thought. And will allow people to ransom their loved ones back rather than letting them languish, I suppose. Right, so I desperately need to relax. So I guess I'll move to London then. And the Canuteling culture will be established in London. A Greenland estate can be established. Apparently not. Yes. House Canuteling should partake in the colonization of Greenland by establishing our presence there with an estate. We can develop the area and, better yet, profit from its luxury exports, particularly walrus ivory. That will grant us that. The Sigurd dynasty. Yes, we're descended from Sigurd Ring from the legends. So that's quite cool. After careful deliberation, I have decided that House Canuteling should stake a claim for ourselves in the Greenland settlements. Though the land is cold and harsh, there is much opportunity for profit from the trade in exotic animal products, particularly walrus ivory. I took the initiative to locate a suitable site for our family's estate in Greenland, and I've already given the order for a residence to be built on the land, along with farmsteads for the local peasants attached to it. Very soon, shipments of precious luxury exports from the Greenland estate will arrive in ports controlled by our family to be sold in European markets. Very cool. I don't know if he did that in real life. He would have done. And he could have done. So maybe he did. And what we want, as we mentioned before, is for our development to be better. So we'll invite Normans in. This was done in Canute. And especially in Edward the Confessor's time, Normans were allowed to settle. I'm descended from Normans who came not from the Norman invasion, but from ones who were invited by Edward the Confessor. To give a bit of context, so there were quite a lot of them. It's interesting. Right, so I've come into contact with a band of Norman adventurers led by a man named Hubert, who have expressed interest in serving me. Hubert agreed to provide something in return for me allowing his band to move into my territories. Hubert's group is less than a small band, and more a small tribe of people. Fortunately, they come in peace. There are several places in the North Sea suitable for settlement, and the Norman under Hubert have begun to settle there to contribute to the region's vitality. Lastly, I could see if I could ask Hubert to train my soldiers to provide long-term military and political aid. Well, as I said, the Normans did aid Canute. So, yeah, there's every chance he'll go through with it. Oh, so for 20 years we get an extra fort level, we'll get more money and everything. Wow. After we negotiated a favourable agreement to both sides, I discussed with Hubert whether he and his band could provide further long-term assistance. The military valour and political savvy of the people of Normandy is well known. After all, they have spread throughout many realms. Hubert assures me, thankfully, that he and his adventurers can provide me long-term political and military support. He has already given me ideas on how to improve the realm's defences, drill my troops to perform better in battle, and increase my political authority. All in all, these are concrete, useful steps to help me maintain my power. Having Hubert's band around has turned out to be a good thing. Do we get to keep him, or does he disappears? Banished without trace. He's got too much work to do. So there's a plague going on. Geoffrey's pox started in Montague and has already killed 16 people. Named after Geoffrey Thouar, Frenchman ruling over parts of Brittany. So there's my brother Harold Svensson, who does not want to join, and there's King Saint Olaf. Right. So what do we need? Capital in the Nordic Seas region. Oh. Well, that accounts then. Surely. That's the Nordic Sea region. And has at least 10 dev. Okay. Development. And then I must become more illustrious. Oh, nearly there. Right, we'll be able to establish the Nordic ivory carving. Look at that! Dev growth. Permanent. I won't be able to set that up in London. Fair enough. So we can do more expeditions, we can discover America. Well, Greenland's in America, but you know, we can discover more parts of America. This will help. This will bolster the nation. Yeah, for me to become North Sea Emperor. Now that I have decided what to put on my runestone. The question remains where to place it. Monuments to ennoblement such as my rise to Emperor of the North Sea encourage people to serve their ruler through thick and thin. The best place in urban areas where the youth can be inspired to turn out for the levy. Of course, Middlesex, London is the right choice, which will make me ordained. So now, yeah, people are quite close to wanting to join. What's the hold up? Powerful vassals hate me. That's true. Edmund Ironside, for example. Rothy was good, wasn't he? He managed to survive that attack. But, as in real life, Godwin, the father of Harold Godwinson, House of Godwin, there it is, he must be made steward. Aldred of Kent, he's just as good as the other one. Doesn't quite like me. Yeah, I'm gonna take Wessex, so I'll instead make Edmund Ironside in charge. Because he's so good and he doesn't like me, I'm a bit nervous about giving him any power. You know what I mean? Do we still need math? Is it that good? Should we give it to Frothy? Yeah, he deserves it, doesn't he? Oh, because I'm greedy. I don't like giving land. Right, well, what we're going to do... I just went in a hot tub to relax today. So, that seems like the right thing to do. So we'll do it. We'll go to London. Have a relax then, I suppose. Let's see if that works. Otherwise, I think because I'm callous, hunting will help. Alright. Eric the Red's voyage has paved the way for others to partake in the colonization of the land that he named Greenland. Those who settle in these distant cold shores will surely reap great profit and influence if they can control its export of luxury goods like walrus ivory. Will House Canute be destined to sail to Greenland as well? And are there even more lands beyond waiting to be discovered? You are one of the involved participants of the colonization of Greenland. The region is currently in the phase of settlement. Your actions and those of other participants will determine the future phases of the struggle and its ending. I already know how the mechanics work. Right. So that's all happening off the map, where the grapes are, I suppose. But we can see the screen. Subsistence is bad. Integration sounds like a good phase to have. Thanks to successful settlement, Greenland settlements are well connected with North Atlantic political and economic networks, thanks in part to the export of luxury goods, particularly walrus ivory. He always mentions, you always got to get that in, just in case you forgot. It's like, oh, what are those luxury goods? Walrus ivory. Anyway. Meanwhile, peaceful relations with the native inhabitants also leads to expanded trade and cooperation. Greenland is thriving enough. In fact, that there is also greater interest in exploring the lands beyond America. However, all good things will have to come to an end. Greenland is still small and vulnerable. Well, it's like one of the biggest islands in the world. If Australia counts as a continent rather than an island, it might be the biggest one, as far as I know. Anyway, and vulnerable to societal shocks from political and economic changes elsewhere that could bring about the subsistence phase. If these shocks are disruptive enough and the settlements unable to adapt, Greenland will instead slide into marginalization. Right, but it instead seems as if the colonies are prospering and therefore will integrate. There's lots of... Right, if we discover anywhere in America, that will help a lot. And if we integrate the Inuit, who are the natives of the region. Oh, And they... Oh. So I could represent the Native Americans. So I have to be one of the Native Americans. With the Inuit are the native of... Inuit is already plural, so you don't say Inuits. The singular is Inuk. The Inuit and Paleo-Inuit are the natives of Greenland, but you could also take that route if you were a Native American, a Native North American. It's quite interesting. So, if we decide to champion their cause, which we could, but I think more fitting for King St. Canute Swainson would be to integrate them into Nordic culture. The peoples of North Atlantic were once petty warlording tribes, long divided by a large cold ocean. Now they are united more and more in culture, ideas and trade, with Greenland settlements linking Eurasia and the Americas. The golden age of the far north is just beginning. So that's the ending we're going to go for. We're definitely not abandoned. Could you imagine? Yeah. In reality, the North Sea Empire did take Scotland, but only towards the end. And then obviously once the North Sea Empire collapsed, then Scotland left. So that's something, though we're expanding beyond the historic slightly. Well, I mean, yeah, if we manage to take America, and we're already taking Sweden. But yeah, I'm looking for peaceful expansion. Peaceful expansion is what another Canuteling. So we thought about Estrid, and then he had Sweyn Estridsson. She had Sweyn Estridsson as a son, and he became king of Denmark. And then Sweyn Estridsson had the son Canute the Fourth. And he's the one who tried to liberate England, but as he did, these treacherous nobles decided to kill him. And then he had a nephew called Saint Canute Lavard, who ruled over south of Jutland, this area. But then he was so noble and chivalrous that the Holy Roman Empire granted him all of these lands. They had a massive empire, and then he was going to become king of Denmark until he too was murdered. So there's that sort of history. But the idea of peacefully, and he was going to peacefully inherit Denmark, which is why he was unpeacefully murdered. Canute Lavard was more like that, whereas Canute Svensson is Canute the Great. He was doing wars, to be honest. But anyway, we decided he was going to take a bath. So that's what he's going to do. We have just arrived at one of the local hot springs in Middlesex. Even though this hot spring isn't particularly famous compared to some of the more popular ones, soaking up the warm waters is still quite enjoyable. I feel like I've rarely felt it's a grammatical error, definitely. I kept giving it the benefit of the doubt, but I feel like I've rarely felt this at ease in my daily life. I close my eyes and relax, as all my worries leave my mind, even if just for a moment. It's a pity this visit will last only so long, so I'll try to make the most of it while I'm here. So we relax a bit, and everyone else relaxes a bit more. Stop. I've arrived in London to pay homage to Glorious Emperor as a show of my loyalty. I bring such rich gifts, worthy of your majesty, as a token of my goodwill and servitude. So he helped us. He is the only non-treasonous duke, even though we've made peace with the others. I wait patiently on my throne for the arrival of Duke Edric, who is soon announced and ushered before me. He kneels in deference as attendants bring forth his gifts of coin and precious objects. The oath is taken, and scribes record his pledges to serve the North Sea. At last, I bid the Duke arise, confirming my satisfaction, and Edric's rights to the land he rules in my stead. Accept your generous gifts, Duke. Right, can we... So why doesn't he like us anymore? We've been at war too much. Fair enough. Trying to think what will relax us. So we could do a human sacrifice. You know, you got to keep the mind open to things. So lots of good hunting sites in my eastern holdings, formerly known as Sweden, but now just known as East England. So we'll, yeah, if we win, I'm sure I'll be mega chuffed. So we're going to spend £500 or ducats, which is even more than pounds when you think about it, on this silly adventure just to relax me. It's a crazy thing to do, really. But yeah, if we also visit other places, we might find that relaxing. It will give us something to do long enough that I'll forget to go to war. And that, yeah, I've got to do that. I'm always going to war, and then my people will hate me. And then I'll end up like quite a few of the real Canutes. The Canutelings did. So we want them to begin to like us again. Yeah, so I'll travel, you learn all kinds of skills. Cologne, Mainz to Trier. And then from Trier, we want to go to Metz. Hopefully, there's no occasion to be generous, or else we'll have a mental breakdown and die. Which is unideal. Yeah, that's quite a journey. St. Canute went all over the place in real life. He, in one famous occasion, went all the way to Rome to see the coronation of his friend, the Holy Roman Emperor. Right. Ah, Harold Harefoot. He wants to be intrigued. I don't want that. So we'll make him diplomatic instead. And I'm not too much of a diplomat. So we'll find someone who's a good diplomat. Peter the Eunuch. Interesting name. But he might be good. Harold Harefoot. Is that the proper Harold? I thought I had two Harolds. Yeah, there's a different Harold. Ah, that's Harold Harefoot. We could turn him Roman if we wanted. We don't, I don't think, do we? Mention in the chat if you think we should turn our kid Roman. Yeah. Anyway. Sorry, I was just checking the chat now. No one was up for going down a Roman route, really changing things. We're all into the Norse thing, and it is St. Canute's Day. That feels right. Yeah, so if I diverge, there's definitely got to be North Germanic. But then we can, if we get enough of prestige, we can change some of these. So they are quite good, but that one can be happily replaced. So I think that means I'm not allowed to take it. Yeah, I'm not allowed that, but it won't tell me why. But probably because I'm not an Inuk. But that is one of the best things you can possibly have, even though you lose a bit of piety. But you can just keep doing kingdom level holy wars So, you know, we'll be able to take parts of the Islamic world and all of this really quickly. Or any of here, you know, Finland. So, something to be said for that. So that's probably what I'll do for the Canuteling culture. I will rename that culture because we want it to be Canuteling. Yeah. So I'll copy it here so that it's got that little thing over it. Canuteling. Canutelings. Yeah, it would work that way. And we would be bureaucratic, of course, because we'd start believing in technology would become high tech. That's the plan, isn't it? So our court grand is still below expectations. That will be one of the reasons people are so hesitant to peacefully join the North Sea Empire. We do need people to peacefully join, as Harold the Canute often like them doing. Because people are angry with how long we've been at war. And the fact that they're so angry we've been at war so long stops us from integrating them more, and it's a vicious cycle. Oh my goodness. 40 stress. Oh! Oh! The Sven has been deteriorating. Let's find a port. She deserves to go. Let's oh. Gosh. Those traits are just not good at all. It's like really bad. Oh, that's the only one you can ever walk back from. Alright, let's make Edmund Ironside him, because like if it were him they'd kill us definitely. Alright. As I get up early in the morning, I cannot help but letting out a loud yawn. Stretching, I make my way out of my tent to see that people are already moving about. I notice Regalinda, a Polish one. That's a Polish name, I suppose. Okay. Heading off with what looks like a makeshift fishing rod through all the noise and bustle of camp. Where are you off to? I ask her. She responds with a nonchalant shrug. It's a nice day for fishing. Yes. Could stay here for days. Oh, Regalinda's my wife. I kept seeing cousins. I was like, oh yeah, I suppose wouldn't it? Yeah, but yes. So we could get closer to her, which is always nice. But we really need to relax. Oh my goodness. While in Stronggear, we came across some ancient ruins. A number of destitute beggars and vagrants were squatting there, having nowhere else to go. Some of my entourage says we should move on. Well, who knows what these desperate, dangerous vagabonds could be up to. Others, however, say they appear harmless, and we should give them some money as a sign of charity. And that gives us the piety we need. Let's do it. Let's have another mental breakdown. Weird whispers. I've noticed that Bruggy avoids me more than usual. He always sits at the opposite end of the table whenever we're invited to a feast, and consistently refuses my company while camping. We may not have the best of relationships, but that attitude is starting to... Especially when I overhear him defaming me. Canute is a cold-hearted knave, he says. I'd be a way better emperor. than Canute. Calm, compassionate, and patient. Better than this version of Canute in some ways. End your days in a dungeon. I mean, he did say straight up treason. I could beat him up. That's what I'll do. There we go. I beat him up. So off he goes. Haven't we seen that massive tree before? I swear we're going in circles, my caravan mascot says. What's he doing? Perhaps he's right. We've seen no sign of getting out of this forest for hours. Are we even still in ski? Let's check. Yeah. The dense tree cover makes it impossible to tell the time of day, or even the direction we're headed. At this rate, we'll never make it to Norborca? Yeah. How's that A done? No, it's not an O. Norback. Is it? Anyway. So I don't know exactly where we are, apparently. We can just find a local guide. Let's get out there. Poachers here in the Count's Wood. They huddled together as I ride up with my guards, making a poor job of hiding the dead stag behind them. We did not do this. Please, have mercy, glorious Emperor. Their blades and bows belie their words. They will hang, and the villagers pay. The animal is mine. We get us money. Or get out. Yeah, that relaxes us, because it's a coward's thing to say, apparently. Just as my acquaintance Leaf started to dismount, legs still dangling from the saddle, my aloof vassal, Earl Alfred, made sure to bump into his horse, sending him tumbling to the ground. My vassal Duke Lothric is the first to spot its flowing tail. The cunning dog is hard to distinguish, but there is no doubt it's there, observing us through the dense undergrowth. It locks eyes with me, and almost as though the animal senses my intent, suddenly takes up in a flash of silver fire. After it, we run. Like all game, the slippery fox has many tricks, blenches, and ruses that can fool even experienced hunters. My vassal, Duke Uhtred, has halted the party. The dog has been standing perfectly still in the sparse pines, unflinchingly getting behind us, even under the dog's noses. There's no agreement over which course to follow, and each moment we tarry puts us further from our prize. Uhtred seems correct, but we could just ask the local gamekeeper. After hours of riding, we're finally cornering the wily beast. Our chase has not been in vain. The exhausted, panicked animal has turned to bay, struggling to stand and barking in panic. Oh, there's no decision to spare it after such a sad display. The terrified fox is realizing it's unable to escape as the hounds and huntsmen ray around it. So if I shoot it, at least it will be in less misery than if the dogs get it. I take aim as the party keep the exhausted animal in place, exhale and loose. The arrow strikes true, straight into the beast's heart. That's how you do it. Hunts like these are a pure joy. I cannot wait for next year. Though the quarry may have been small, the party is still elated with the satisfaction of a good hunt. Duke Uhtred directs the breaking up, clumsily skinning the carcass before letting the game masters take over. We place the eager dog's share of the spoils on the stretched hide before departing for camp and for home. Yeah, it'll be a good conversation piece. It's not relaxed us as much as I hoped. I thought because we were callous we'd be like, yes. But no. I mean, a little bit, but There's a civil war going on. Your son Harold has safely arrived in the Eastern Roman Empire, and I shall begin his lessons forthwith. The seas around here are thick with Pomeranian traders, my compatriots, my family, going about their usual craft, carrying rare and exotic goods from one port to the other. One such merchant ship holds an item within it that immediately takes my interest the moment I lay eye upon the bejeweled Great Chronicles. If I were more holy, that could be useful to me, but I'm currently considered unholy. So, I could... Oh, I think the game's crashing. Yeah, the game crashed. Well, I guess that's that. I was wanting to round it off anyway. That is about as classic a CK3 ending as I've had in a while. So, yeah, that's that. Hope you had a good King St. Canute's Day. 3 different Canutes, but we played as one Canute the Great. Remember, you know, how much more generous the real one was. Remember him for that, not for this strange, callous, paranoid version of him. Yeah, remember the real one for the great missionary king, great reformer, great peacemaker that he was. We love King St. Canute. And yeah, it's nice to remember him. Maybe this was how he wanted to be remembered. Maybe not, given all the events that transpired in the game. But I did my best. Yeah, well, anyway, see you around.